Hey there my lovelies, and welcome to my booktube channel, The Sassy Library Fox. My name is Lee, and today we're going to talk about book reviews, or rather how I write my book reviews. I know a lot of people on Goodreads have been curious about my process and how I write my reviews, and I don't know what I do with all those quotes and what else. So I figured I would just talk about me writing reviews and how I usually proceed while doing this. And while considering that I'm always blowing the Goodreads word limit, which is about 2,700 or 2,800 words and about 18,800 characters, at least at the moment it is. I extra looked it up for you. Well, that says a lot. I write very long reviews. I write super long ass reviews that could probably be an entire book by themselves. But well, that was actually one of the reasons why I started my blog on WordPress, because I needed to get rid of all those fields, and I just couldn't do that with a word limit, you know. Does anyone else write as long reviews as I do? I mean, my last review, or the last review I wrote, was The Raven King of the series All Through the Game, and it was about 6,000 words. I'm actually ashamed to admit that. But I just needed to get rid of all those fears, you know? So yes, what I'm trying to say is I wanted to do this for quite a while. I actually wanted to write a blog post about how I write my reviews, but I pushed it back and back and back, and I never actually wrote it. So I decided to just do a video about it and to go for it in this way. And well, what else can I say? Welcome to my tutorial of how to write such a long review that it most definitely will blow up the Goodreads word limit. As you can see, I'm having a bad hair day and the last week was rough. So I decided to make this as relaxed as possible. I put my coffee next to me again, and I just start to talk about how I write my reviews and take it from there. So the first step is to write a TBR. I know I'm not good at following my TBR, but I'm trying. I'm really trying. I'm trying very hard. I write one each and every single year, and just to show you how this looks, those are the books I want to read in 2022. There are just 8 on my list for 2022 right now. And is this considered to be a spoiler? Oh my gosh. Now you know what I'm going to read in 2022. Anyway, aside from spoilering you right now with my TBR, this is usually how it looks. And I'm certain it will get about 40 books in 2022 as well. That's about the amount I can easily read and that I will get to when I try my best. So I write the TBR, and usually I should read the books of my TBR, but I'm not all too good at following my TBR. So about half of the books that I actually read aren't even on the list. Anyway, let's not talk about that. So the second step is to choose a book from that TBR, to borrow it from the library or to buy it, and then to actually read it, which I'm always having troubles with. And I don't know how you mark quotes in your books. I know there's the function with your Kindle, and even Tolino has it, that you can mark quotes in your e-reader. But when I read physical books, I always use sticky notes, lots of them. And just to give you an impression of how a book looks when I actually read it and when I mark those quotes in the book, I always say it looks rather like a hedgehog. And you can see it with this example. I'm currently still reading this as a buddy read with my fellow Goodreads friend Jello. Hey there, Jello. And well, as you can see, there are plenty of those sticky notes in here. And those are all quotes I marked. And mind you, I'm not going to write down all of those quotes when I write my review, but a lot of them. So, yeah, I know. I bet a lot of you are shocked now, and I can totally understand this. Yeah, that is my hedgehog book. And some of the books I read only have, I don't know, about 10 of those sticky notes in them, but this book is huge, and Jello and I have been reading it since, I think, April or so. And there's just so much to discuss and to talk about, so there are a lot of sticky notes in here. So yes, I basically read the book and mark my quotes in there, and after that, when I'm done with the book, I just let it sink in for about a day or two, or sometimes if it was a really demanding book, I even let it sink in for a week. And then I sit down in front of my computer and start to type in all those quotes I want to have in the review. Sometimes I even type more quotes in my computer than I actually use in my review, but it's some sort of elimination process. I just write them all down and then I see what I want to use in the future. And once I wrote down all of those quotes, I usually have some sort of, I don't know, structure in which I write my reviews. There always comes a quote at the beginning of my review, and then I just take it from there and write a short summary of my feelings and thoughts about the book, which is non-spoilery. My short summary at the beginning is always without spoilers, and just talking about the book in general and about storyline, about characters, about trigger warnings, or I don't know what else. And then it usually goes into the interesting part, my character section. I always mark my character section because from the moment I go into my character section, I also go into spoilers. So I'll come up with a creative introduction to my spoilery section. And I think a lot of you who already saw my Goodreads reviews know that this could be in the form of a poem or in the form of a rhyme or just something funny to ensure that people will read it and that they won't be spoiled. So it's a fair warning, because right after that I write about the characters, and usually I write about the main characters, sometimes about side characters as well, if they are interesting, if they contribute to the plot. And after my character section, there usually comes the relationships and ships section, which I always have to use, because in almost every book there is a relationship or a friendship or a ship, and I just need to write my thoughts down because, well, usually I'm a gushing mess. I admit it. I have those fan moments and they are strong. So I usually let everything out there, all my emotions and feelings. And sometimes in my old reviews, I would give a short summary of the plot at the beginning of the review, but I don't do that anymore because, I mean, when you read the blurb of a book, you already know what it is about. So I don't see any reason to go into that once again. And what I also sometimes write in my reviews are trigger warnings. They are very important. And when I write them on Goodreads, I always mark them as spoilers. When I write them on my blog, they are just signed trigger warnings at the ending of the review. And what else? Yes, I usually tend to write an own section or use an own section about representation, if there is a representation in the book. Like for instance, bi representation, ROA's representation, or I don't know what else. There are so many representations in books lately, and when I have to talk about them and want to say something about the representation, I usually make an own section for it as well. And the last thing I write into my reviews is always some sort of conclusion. And in that conclusion, I just write about 2 or 3 sentences that summarize all my feelings and my thoughts about the book. And well, that is mostly the end of my review, and usually the conclusion is the last thing I write in my reviews. So just to give you a couple of pointers what I write in my reviews and why I write it. And yes, I think that's basically it, because once I did that, I just gave my rating and I'm done with my review. My rating on Goodreads, we only have 5-star ratings and no half stars, which is sad because I don't know how often us good readers said that we would like half-star ratings as well. And sometimes books are just not that easily to rate. So on my blog, I rate in pause, as you might have seen already if you visited my blog on WordPress. And I actually drew those paws myself, and I also drew the fox myself. If you ever, I don't know, go over there and take a look at it. And as for the ratings, I have written down my rating system on Goodreads and on my blog, and there is an explanation of how I rate books with 1 star, 2 stars, 3 stars, or pause, or whatever. And you can read that on Goodreads or on my blog. I have to admit that I rarely give out 5 paw or 5-star reads, because to get those ratings or to get this rating, a book really has to blow me away. And I really have to fangirl about it. I need to, I don't know, look up fan art and be totally obsessed with a book to give it 5 paws. And 1-star reads are, or 1 paw reads, I think I rarely ever gave a book 1 paw. The only book that ever got a 1-star rating for me was The Catcher in the Rye, which will probably earn me a lot of critique now, to say it nicely. But I really didn't like that book, and I totally didn't understand all the fuss and buzz about it. So I was very disappointed with that one. I know it's a classic. I know it has a lot of people that love it dearly and hold it to their heart, but it just wasn't for me, I guess. So yeah, those are my 1 and 5 paw ratings. And 3 stars ratings or 3 paws ratings are usually books I liked, but had some troubles or issues with. And I always make sure to point them out in my review. So if a book gets a 3 paw rating from me, then you know you can read it in my review why it got that rating. And I think the books or the usual rating I tend to give out to books is 4 paws, because I have a tendency to pick really good books and books that fit me as a person and that I like. So there are a lot of 4 paw or 3.5 paw ratings, and I'm not ashamed of that. I mean, everyone chooses the books they think they will like and that are to their taste and that are books you want to read because they sound interesting. So I think it's pretty normal to give them 4-star ratings or to give them 3.5 stars. Because, well, that's just logical. I mean, you won't read a book you don't like, right? Or you won't read a book where you know the plot isn't for you. So, yeah. Usually there are a lot of 4 paw ratings or 3.5 paw ratings on my WordPress page and Goodreads. So that's it from me. I hope this was an okay video. I don't know if you enjoyed this or not. It was fun to talk about how I write my reviews. I wanted to do this for ages. I have no idea if you're interested in things like that, but I just thought I would throw it out there and maybe some of you will take something away from this, or some of you will understand my ratings and my reviews better. So I just decided to give it a shot. I mean, why not? And this said, we are already at the ending of my video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you will join the discussion in the comments down below, because I would really love to hear your thoughts on how I write reviews, how you write your reviews. I'm always curious about how other people write their reviews and what their personal rating is and how they categorize their ratings. So please join the discussion down below. I would really love to hear your thoughts. And well, this said, we're already at the ending of my video. Take care, stay healthy and safe, and see you around the next time.